authored 25 books, including his highly admired creation, What is Agrarian Question? The Zero Hunger Program, initiated by Dr. Graziano, is a noble creation to fight an extreme poverty and has led to the upliftment of over 28 million extremely poor people, besides reducing undernourishment in Brazil by a quarter. Recipient of numerous prestigious awards and honors, including the Rio Branco Order bestowed by the President of the Republic of Brazil. Today, the Postgraduate School of the Indian Agriculture Research Institute feels honored and elevated for his noble contributions for the cause of humanity by awarding him the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa at the special convocation ceremony being organized by the Indian Agriculture Research Institute under the flagship of Indian Council of Agricultural Research. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, an institution responsible for coordinating, guiding, and managing research and education in agriculture, including horticulture, fisheries, and animal sciences in the entire country. The Council, established in the year 1929, operates with a network of 29 ICR institutes and 50 and enable the country to increase the production of food grains by 4 times, horticulture crops by 6 times, fish by 9 times, milk by 6 times, and eggs by 27 times since 1950-51, thus making a visible impact on the national food and nutritional security. The Indian Council of Agriculture Research has played a major role in promoting excellence in higher education in agriculture and is engaged in cutting-edge areas of science and technology development. Ladies and gentlemen, the Indian Agricultural Research Institute marks the beginning of an era of agriculture research in India. The journey of Indian Agriculture Research Institute, popularly known as Pusa Institute, began in the year 1905 at Pusa, Bihar, with the generous grant of 30,000 pounds from American philanthropist Mr. Henry Phipps. The institute was then known as Agricultural Research Institute. The name of Agriculture Research Institute was changed to Imperial Institute of Agriculture Research in 1911 and 1919. It was renamed as Imperial Agriculture Research Institute following a devastating earthquake on 15th January 1934. The institute was shifted to Delhi on 29th July 1936. Post-independence, the institute was rechristened Indian Agriculture Research Institute. It attained the status of a deemed university in the year 1958. The grain revolution that brought smiles to millions of Indians emanated from the fields of IARI with the development of famous wheat varieties, which contributed an estimated 1 billion tons of addition production. Mother of several institutions, Indian Agricultural Research Institutes continues to be the leading institution for agricultural research, higher education, and extension in the country. Committed to designing crops for better productivity, nutrition, and aesthetics, bred hundreds of superior and improved varieties, hybrids in field crops, vegetables, fruits, and flowers. Wheat varieties of IRI alone contribute over $5 billion annually. Pusa Basmati 1121, the world's longest grain rice, when cooked, earns a foreign exchange of $2 billion annually. Moving with time, exploring new frontiers of science and knowledge to create a vibrant, responsive, and resilient agriculture. The Institute has transformed several dreams into realities. Its dedicated team has the expertise and experience of handling projects in the basic and applied aspects of agriculture sciences with the government and private sectors. Transforming innovations from the research corridors to the farmers' fields. Farmers-friendly technologies developed at the Institute reach the unreached as well as entrepreneurs through innovative approaches, works through a public-private partnership model. Indian Agriculture Research Institute, a deemed university for higher learning in agriculture sciences, is engaged in developing globally competitive human resource, offering MSc and PhD degrees in 24 disciplines of agriculture science with a unique dynamic curriculum. Over 8,000 students from India and abroad have received MSc, MTech, and PhD degrees. It prepares the students for tomorrow by inculcating in them a sense of self-reliance and professionalism. Provide students friendly habitat, state-of-the-art facilities for research and amenities for co-curricular activities. Its alumni hold key positions directing or shaping agriculture research, education and extension program in several prestigious organizations in India and abroad as well. The Indian Agriculture Research Institute always looks ahead in sustaining the greenness of the green revolution and feels proud of its innovations that radiated smiles among us millions and millions in the rural development, poverty alleviation, food, and nutritional security. Ladies and gentlemen, we are all set to begin this solemn functions within a few moments. The procession will enter this auditorium, and you have to stand when the procession enters this auditorium and till it settles down on the stage. Thank you for cooperation. The salient features of today's program are: the chief guest will be introduced to all the academic council members, and at 10 o'clock, the Secretary DARE and DG ICR, Director and Joint Directors will receive Dr. Jose Graziano, Dr. Silva, DG, FAO, and VIPs, and the chief guest is conducted to VIP room for wearing gown, followed by introduction of the chief guest to the members of the Academic Council. Academic procession will proceed to the auditorium, and The, the procession entering the auditorium to the accompaniment of the music, all present will rise and remain standing until the members of the procession have taken their seats. ICR song will be played, followed by the welcome by Dr. S. Ayyappan, Secretary Dear and Director General ICR, addressed by Professor M. S. Swaminathan, Emeritus Chairman and Chief Mentor, MSSRF. The Director will then say, I declare the convocation open, followed by the invocation song of the Institute, and this will be followed by the Director's address, and the Director will request the Chief Guest to release the IARI seed varieties and publication. The Dean will present the candidate for the degree of Doctor of Science. And this will be followed by the address by Professor R.B. Singh, former President NAS, the award of NAS Fellowship to Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva, followed by the Director IARI, will request the Chief Guest to deliver the convocation address. And the program will be concluded with the national anthem.
Dr. R.K. Singh, Dr. Paramatma Singh, Dr. Deepak Pental.
And you are kindly requested, when the procession enters this auditorium, kindly be seated, and you have kindly stand in his honor, and kindly be standing till the procession settles down on the stage. There's one important announcement. If Dr. Puneet Kumar Goyal is sitting here, kindly join the procession outside. For your kind information, the chief guest has arrived and he's being introduced with the members of the Academic Council. And within few moments, they will be entering this auditorium. And as I've already said, you have to stand in his honor, and you have to keep standing till the procession settles down on the stage. And meanwhile, I again request you kindly switch off your mobile phones or keep them in the vibrating modes so that this function becomes really a solemn one. Thank you for the cooperation. And in addition to this conferment of the degree, the Honorable Chief Guest will also be releasing a book published by the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, and he will be releasing 14 innovations emerging from the Holy Land of Pusa. These are 6 in field crops and 8 in vegetable crops, and they will be released by the Honorable Chief Guest at this special ceremony of the Indian Agriculture Research Institute. You will be glad to know Dr. M.S. Swaminathan shall be also joined with us. He is the main architect of the Green Revolution in India and has contributed a lot in the production of food grains, and he will be delivering the degrees to the chief guest. We apologize for the delay. for unavoidable reasons. The chief guest has arrived and he's being introduced what the academic council members. The academic procession is entering the auditorium.
His Excellency Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva, esteemed Director General of the FAO, respected Professor M.S. Swaminathan Sahab, Chairman Emeritus, MSS Research Foundation, esteemed Professor R.B. Singh, immediate past President of the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, Dr. Peter Kenmore, FAO representative in India, Dr. Gurbachan Singh, Chairman of the Agricultural Scientists Recruitment Board, Mr. Arvind Kaushal, Additional Secretary to Government of India and Secretary Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Dr. Rakesh Muttu, Senior colleague from the FAO headquarters in Rome, Dr. K. Vijayaraghavan, Director of the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, Dr. R.K. Jain, Dean and Joint Director of the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, His Excellency the Brazilian Ambassador to India, esteemed members of the Academic Council of the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, invitees from different ministries, departments, organizations, including FAO, the World Bank, and the CGIAR, colleague Deputy Directors General, esteemed Vice Chancellors, Directors of the ICAR Research Institutes, colleagues from the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, Indian Academy, National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, and the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, scientists and students, members of the press and media, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to this special convocation and interaction with His Excellency Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva, esteemed Director General of the Food and Agricultural Organization, Rome. We are honored at this visit of Dr. Graziano to India this week, the first event being the reception and interaction with the Indian agriculture community, including the Indian National Agricultural Research and Education System, comprising the Vice Chancellors of Agriculture Universities and Directors of the ICAR Research Institutes. The architect of Form Zero, Zero Hunger, Dr. Graziano, has pioneered the cause of poor and hungry in the world for over 2 decades in terms of access to food, including the midday meal program, strengthening family farming, income generation, articulation, mobilization, and social control, all leading to zero hunger, an innovative, unique model applicable, adoptable all over the world. Dr. Graziano, your visit to India in 2014 is very timely, for this is the International Year for Family Farming, also the country's farmer producer organizations movement, also the birth centenary of Dr. Norman Borlaug, which we are in India are celebrating with due gratitude, also the new government with new approaches to food security, direct cash transfer, per drop more crop, and so on. A brief presentation at this time we thought would be in order. Hence, this presentation for you, the Indian agriculture, country focus, but a global reach. The first Prime Minister of this country's words, everything else can wait, but not agriculture, so relevant even today, nearly after 7 decades. This is the support that we are getting from the public leaders, the premiers of this country to Indian agriculture in different formats, who all the time know that if agriculture fails, nothing else can succeed, and if agriculture succeeds, nothing else can fail in this country. India today, you are well aware, a home for 1.25 billion people, also 500 million livestock. That's what is a resource, also the resource that we have to deal with, support. And you would appreciate a country with such diversity, such the calamities, disasters, that while you are in India now, listening to the floods in Kashmir, in spite of all this, achieved an agriculture, a compounded agriculture growth rate of nearly 4%. And India in the food basket of the world, I won't go into details, but all the time 12 to 15% in different farms and formats is what we are talking of. The food security risk index that we would like to, you are aware and we are talking about it. So absolutely we talk of the continuum of not just agriculture to food, to nutrition, to health, to environment and employment. That's the complete paradigm that we are addressing from the National Agricultural Research System. I just mentioned of the disasters. I'd also like to mention monsoon-dependent country, the markets, the smallholder agriculture, rain-fed, so all those dimensions that we talk of in the Indian tropical agriculture system. The hidden hunger, malnutrition that you all the time emphasize on, and so very keen to adopt this model, your model, across the world. The food consumption in this country being projected in different scenarios for the next 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, and so on. So these are the vision documents we are trying to develop from time to time. Again, not going to details, a very clear projection of what South Asia requires and what South Asian requirements and performance means to the entire the Asian continent is what we are talking of, a bigger platform and a paradigm. Pressures on the natural resource base, again that you are familiar with. I just mentioned about the smallholder farming, that's a unique to this country and several Asian countries, and the effort at this time, all the time, is more from less for more. Agriculture in this country, the institutional framework that you are very well aware of, development and extension looked after by the two departments in Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Agriculture and Cooperation, and Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairy and Fisheries, which you will have an opportunity to interact with today and tomorrow. The system here is the Department of Agriculture Research and Education, the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, the premier body of the National Agricultural Research System, is what we are interacting today. The paradigm shift from green revolution to tricolor revolution, the technology, the policy, the investments, the farmers, all those put together, this is what we have before you for the last 4 decades. Ever since Professor Swaminathan ji initiated several things, this is the way we have traveled in the last 4 to 5 decades. Technology-led agriculture is the context, and this is what we are talking of, our efforts, not only in field crops, diversified agriculture in horticulture, livestock, fisheries, also including agroforestry. Climate resilient agriculture is the concern and the context, and a unique initiative of this country in terms of climate resilient agriculture is paying dividends, and that's what is leading to smart farming for small farmers in the context of concern for water and energy particularly. So water saving technologies in different formats. Similarly, innovations in water management that could be replicated very easily in the neighborhood. Also the interventions in different villages, that's what we are talking of, village as a unit of intervention. So the WWW in India is weather, water and women in agriculture. And further, the soil health, the new government's the importance, emphasis on soil health management, including micronutrients, balanced nutrient application is becoming very important. Biodiversity, you would be happy to know that we are having bureaus dedicated to plant, animal, fish, insect, microbes like no other country. And the repositories we have, germplasm is is what has been the wealth for this country. And we also are a partner in the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. The genome deciphering has become an order of the day, almost, starting with rice and then to wheat and to several animals, fish that we are taking off, specific initiatives in genomics. From shortage to surplus, that's what I just mentioned, a fine combination of technology, policy, investments, farmers, basically partnerships. Partnerships in different forms have led to this kind of a change. Very quickly, starting with breeder seed, the varietal performance, the varietal strength that we have in varietal releases is what is taking us into climate resilient agriculture. Whether it is rice, you just saw the varieties released by the Indian Agricultural Research Institute at the exhibition. It's very strong, rich varieties, including the basmati that's so world famous, or the wheat that we are talking of, into several things. And again, climate resilient, abiotic stress management and so on coming into picture. So basically an advancement at yield enhancement and also disease resistance. This is what we are talking of. Crops for climate resilience at the cost of repetition. Millets, for example, are very important as health foods. The maize, for example, one of the similarly the nutri-cereals. Earlier we called them as core cereals all over the world. It's Professor Swaminathan who said this should be nutri-cereals. Again, an emphasis given to this. Pulses, as you are aware, protein, starvation, protein much required in this country. Different forms of protein, milk, meat, fish, egg and so on. Particularly pulses assume a great importance and emphasis in this. Global research partnerships. Similarly, oil seeds, oil is one thing that we are importing. This is one commodity we keep importing. Again, efforts including oil palm. Cotton and sugarcane as two major commercial crops, several strides made here. Further, the integrated pest management, so very important. So many in different formats IPM, further into biocontrol agents, some aspects of organic farming being discussed in this country. Agri-nanotech, new technology is being taken to, whether it's biotech or nanotech, GM cross would come in for discussion. Again, debates going on across in the country, but way forward, absolutely there. So nanotech as a new format, or in horticulture, that the efforts that we are making, the production has surpassed the food grain production today. So protected cultivation, floriculture, and bringing livelihoods to women. Also the biofortification in the format of zero hunger, further bringing the much needed fortification, the micronutrients to the people in different formats. The plantation tuber crops, again, a big diversification here, requirement in this country. Also in terms of spices, animal cloning. This is one country in Asia which has made big strides in terms of cloning in different species of animals. The indigenous cattle that we are talking of, every time we go to Brazil, the Indian breeds shown there, the improvement that has happened, but what is not happening much in this country is with regard to fodder and nutrition. That's what we are emphasizing on. The health management, including the foot and mouth disease, for example, that's a concern. So I just mentioned about fodder in different formats. This is being emphasized upon. Feed, fodder, food in different variations. The backyard poultry and the commercial poultry, again, in context of serving the protein requirement of the country here. The fish, the revolution, looking to the seas, the water bodies, the aquatic protein that's coming up, again, in a very big way. And the blue revolution that we are talking of in the recent past, and the machinery, the farm mechanization, that's a much required the necessity in the small farms in the entire Asian continent. Similarly, taking some of these lessons and models to Africa. This is where we have strength. Primary to secondary agriculture to bring the real money value for the farmers produce. And in this context, I must mention of the research projects that we operated with the World Bank, the National Agricultural Research Project onwards, 20 years back, to the recent National Agricultural Innovation Project, and the forthcoming one is the Education Project. I must say we have been playing a major role in global agriculture in different formats. This is what happened when President of US Obama visited some of our facilities. The appreciation to the farm implements that are so much required for smallholder farmers. HR in agriculture, this is what India would be when the globe would have aged. India would remain young in 2050. So a resource and also challenges. And in this context, we are talking of youth as job providers and not job seekers. 70 agriculture universities, the picture that you saw just now, 43% girls in the agriculture universities. Our vice chancellors are here, keen to interact with you in today's session. So in different formats, bringing youth into agriculture. A unique system that I just mentioned to you, the farm science centers, one in each district across the country, an extension model that could be applicable for the globe. In fact, several African countries, when they come here, seek for this model. Farm innovators as partners, major platform setup, innovations exhibited from time to time. It's from the ground zero, if I might say so. So these farmers from the small farms bring several innovations. So we are talking of computing, we are talking of nanotechnology, as I said, bioinformatics. So and all these in this combination of knowledge, skill, and attitude. As I talked of the global reach, we are in partnership with 24 different major international agencies and governments and about 60 universities from across the globe. Investing in agriculture R&D, this is what has been given. A rupee, an Indian rupee or a dollar invested brings back over 13 rupees or dollars, and this is what we are talking of as a major investment opportunity and a requirement in times to come. Agriculture is everybody's business, and that's where people come together in every effort. And we would like to bring to your kind attention that India can be a major global agri-knowledge resource in all our efforts, in FAO's efforts, maybe in Africa as we go along. The future we want is resilience, as I mentioned. So we are linking up several things: health and employment, youth and women, water and energy, and processing as the way forward. And further as we go, I must say there are colleagues from different departments here. The Government of India, in different formats of National Food Security Mission, that's the Food Security Act also that you keep hearing about, or the different missions in the recent past that have been initiated. Also, in this very budget, 2 months back, new initiatives of the Government of India, including exclusive TV channel for the country, or other things that you are seeing here, protein mission, soil health card, agribiotic clusters, and so on. This is from the Ministry of Agriculture. And further, from the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, we have several initiatives like Farmer First, Student Ready, Attracting Retaining Youth in Agriculture, the Agritech Foresight Center, and the New Education Project, or the consortia research platforms for anyone to join in the research efforts, or the students for soil testing, and so on. So these are some of the efforts, including Innovation Fund and so on, we are trying to bring in our efforts to see that Indian agriculture is truly climate resilient. There is profit and prestige in our partnerships, and agriculture is a sought after profession, a food self-reliant and healthy India. Not only that, a leading role in global agriculture. Your Excellency, thank you very much for your kind attention. We look forward to listening to you with regard to your vision, the FAO programs, and also your the first-hand account that we can be hearing on zero hunger. Hunger. That's what we have. Hunger form. That's what we are looking to you, and we are very eager to listen to you at this time. Once again, thank you very much for being with us. A great occasion for the entire Indian agricultural community. Welcome here. Thank you very much. I would now request Professor M.S. Swaminathan Sahab for his kind remarks.
I apologize for speaking and sitting down here. A little problem on my left knee, so with the permission of our chief guest, I want to say a few words. First of all, Dr. Jose Graziano de Silva, Ayappan, and distinguished members, both in the podium, the faculty, the dean and the director of IARI, and other dignitaries here. It's a very happy occasion because I think the mother of all agriculture universities in India, the IARI, which is 109 years old, 1905 it was established, is honoring one of the greatest hunger fighters of the world today, Dr. Jose Graziano de Silva. So I'm happy to hear on this occasion when, sir, the IARI is undoubtedly the foremost agriculture university or the agricultural research institution in this part of the world. Right from its beginning, establishment, 1905, it has had a tremendous effect on many crops, particularly wheat crop. The NP4, the very first variety developed by Albert and Gabriel Howard. From that time onwards to the latest, I think about 60 to 70% of the wheat area is under IARI wheat varieties. Same is true with reference to rice. The basmati rices of IARI are very well known. So the mother is called it the mother of all agriculture universities because many of the faculty members of other agriculture universities are all alumni of IARI. So we are honored to have the honor of honoring, as I said, one of the greatest hunger fighters of the world today. I talk it from personal knowledge, not purely from theoretical one. His contributions along with his former president, Lula de Silva, to the Zero Hunger program, Zero Hunger Challenge are monumental. Let me first of all pay a tribute to the scientists of the IARI, the director and the dean, because no one can question anywhere in the world that IARI has been the catalyst of the Green Revolution for many of the significant progress. Today the country, as Dr. Ayappan so very elaborately explained, came from a ship-to-mouth existence in the 60s and the 50s to right to food with homegrown food. Right to food. There is no other world, no other country in the world has a legislation which confers you a legal right to food. This transition has taken place, of course. Science has been a prime mover of change, and IARI has been a prime mover of change. But apart from that, of course, the political leadership, the services, the extension people, and above all, the farmers themselves, they all came like a Green Revolution symphony, as we call them, They all got together and worked in the same way. IARI's progress in research is indicative, as Dr. Ayyappan said, of the country's progress, our enormous strength in agricultural research and education, one of the strongest in the world. In fact, if you look at all the international centers, including this year's World Food Prize laureates, Dr. Sanjay Rajaram, they all come from here. They are all, most of the scientists and the leading scientists in many of the international centers are from India, and they are also products of IARI, of which I am extremely proud. I am also happy that today we are electing him as a president, as a fellow of the honorary fellow of the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences. As the founder president of the National Academy, I am very proud of the way in which this academy has grown. Sir, you have enormous influence. Some years ago in this very hall, Mr. Hamid Karzai, who was then the president of Afghanistan, inaugurated a meeting called from oasis, from desert to oasis, the conversion of desert areas into oasis. And at that time he pleaded with the academy that they should help Afghanistan. The academy sent a team to Afghanistan. Based on the recommendations, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ministry of External Affairs of our country, has helped Afghanistan to establish an agriculture university at Kandahar. At Kandahar, I was happy to be present on the occasion of the inauguration of that agriculture university. It is, I hope it will grow into a. We are also helping them with the help of Dr. Bansal and others, helping them to establish a genetic garden of Afghanistan, because a lot of genetic resources of Afghanistan were lost during various conflicts. But today we are examining. Finally, let me say a few words about my good friend Dr. Jose Graziano de Silva. As already mentioned by Dr. Ayyappan, he played a key role in the Zero Hunger program of Brazil, former Zero program started by President Lula, and he has a very fine book on this whole process, because it's not only achievements of Zero Hunger, but also the methods adopted are very important. It was a method by which it's a win-win for everybody, win-win for farmers, win-win for consumers, win-win for political leaders. It was a remarkable program, which has now led to a global program launched by the UN Secretary General, the Zero Hunger Challenge, to be achieved by 2025. Zero Hunger Challenge is based essentially on their work and also with achievements of India, that what was considered to be impossible proved to be possible. All the prophets of doom were made prophets and false prophets. I mean, that kind of determination can be done if science and public policy and farmers' enthusiasm all come together. And today we have the champion of this kind of coordinated action. FAO has become the flagship of the Zero Hunger program or the Zero Hunger Challenge. So I am proud to be here on a day you are being honored by our oldest institution, the IARI, and also by the academy, a young academy, but a very vibrant academy. The journal of the academy is now internationally recognized, the Journal of Agricultural Research. So please do be coming again and again. Your presence is important, and I wish you much success in taking up the leadership, the global leadership. He is now the FAO, is the global leader of achieving the Zero Hunger Challenge. Thank you, Dr. Ayyappan. Thank you, Dr. Vijayaraghavan, for giving me an opportunity.
I declare the convocation open.
विकृशन्तु भूमि शूलं किलाशा अभियन्तु वाहि शूरं पर्जन्यो मधुना पयोभिः सुनासीरा सुनमस्मा सुधन ब्रह्मेति व्यजाना विज्ञानादेव खल्विमानि भूतानि जायन्ते विज्ञानेन जातानि जीवन्ति विज्ञानं प्रयन्तविशो विशन्ति क्षेत्र विक्षेत्र वेदं सप्रेति क्षेत्र वेदानु श्रेष्ठः एतद्वै भद्रं मनुशासनस्य उत्श्रुतिं विन्द्यत्यं जसीम ॐ सहना भवतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः
His Excellency Dr. Jose Graciano da Silva, Director General FAO of the United Nations, Professor M.S. Swaminathan, Emeritus Chairman and Chief Mentor MSSRF, Dr. R.B. Singh, former President NAS, Dr. S. Ayyappan, Secretary DARE and Director General ICAR, Sri Arvind R. Gaussel, Additional Secretary DARE and Secretary ICAR, Sri P.K. Pujari, Additional Secretary and FA DARE, Dr. Gurbhajan Singh, Chairman ASRB, Dr. Peter Kenmore, FAO Representative in India, Dr. Rakesh Muthu, Senior Officer from FAO, Dr. R.K. Jain, Dean and Joint Director Education, IARI, and Dr. S.K. Dadda, DDG Crop Science, Dr. Arvind Kumar, Deputy Director General Education, ICAR, Dr. H.S. Gupta, Director General, BISA, Dr. H.S. Gaur, VC, Sardar Patel University, former Director Generals of ICR, former Directors of IARI, former Deans of IARI, Dr. K.V. Prabhu, Joint Director Research, members of ASRB, and Ambassador from Brazil, members of the Board of Management and Academic Council, and other dignitaries on dais, Vice Chancellors and Directors of NARS, students, distinguished guests, members of the press and media, All India Radio and Doordarshan, ladies and gentlemen. Today I feel privileged to welcome all the dignitaries and respected guests present on the special occasion of this great institute held to confer the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa and Dr. Jose Graciano da Silva, Director General FAO of the United Nations and architect of Zero Hunger program. The Indian Agricultural Research Institute, recognized as a A-grade deemed university, has a rich history of more than 100 years. Since inspection in 1905, it has played a flagship role in the field of agricultural research, education, and human resource development. In fact, Green Revolution was born in the fields of IRA, and its alumni occupy key leadership position in agriculture not only in India, but also in different parts of the world. This institute has been ranked as the number one among agricultural universities of India. This institute has also had the distinction of receiving twice the prestigious Sardar Patel Outstanding ICAR Institution Award. This IARI takes pride in having developed sophisticated and specialized laboratories with the state-of-the-art facilities in most of the fields of agricultural sciences, including Advanced Center for Plant Virology through UNTP. A new Center for Environmental Science and Climate Resilient Agriculture has recently been established. 5 divisions of IRA have been identified as centers of advanced faculty training by the ICAR for human resource development in the areas of molecular biology, biotechnology, virology, biochemistry, agriculture extension, and agriculture economics. The Institute research priorities have been productivity and improvement through genetic potential enhancement, resource management, and environmental protection, eco-friendly management of pests and diseases, basic and strategic research, dissemination and transfer of technology, socio-economic and policy research. The contribution of IARI research towards nation food security can be judged from coverage and high yields of varieties. In wheat, it is estimated that IARI varieties cover around 30% of the total wheat area, and the high yields have been resulted in gross economic returns of 25.25 thousand crores during the last 5 years. In basmati, around 85% of the basmati production is from IARI varieties. Export of basmati 1121 alone are estimated to have contributed over rupees 19.4 thousand crores in 2013. Besides cereal crops, IARI has contributed for improvement in pulses, oilseeds, vegetables, fruits, etc. Innovative initiatives by IARI have contributed immensely to the development of roadmap for national extension system. The recent extension experiments such as IARI Post Office Extension Model, IARI SUU Institute Partnership Extension Model, IARI Voluntary Organization Partnership Extension Model, and IARI Model Villages have shown promising results in transfer of farm technology, which can be replicated by other agencies. IARI awards postgraduate degrees in 24 disciplines of agricultural sciences. It is a multiracial and multicultural equal opportunity institution. Often dubbed as Mini India, IARI is the most sought-after destination for students from all over India and several foreign countries. So far, 3,552 MSc, 18 MTech, and 4,402 PhD students have been awarded degrees, including 338 national students. I feel proud to mention that IARI has earlier awarded 13 DSc honoris causa degrees to great personalities in the field of agriculture, including Dr. B.P. Paul, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, Dr. A.B. Joshi, Dr. Norman E. Borlaug, Dr. Ismail and Sarah Gedeldin, Dr. B.L. Chopra, Dr. S. Jain, Dr. M. Rao, Dr. R.S. Baroda, Dr. Mangla Rai, Sri Montek Singh Ahwalia, Dr. Manmohan Singh, Dr. Gurudev Kush, and Dr. S.K. Vasil. Before concluding my report, I take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to the members of the Institute Board of Management and Academic Council, chairman and members of the various standing committees, Board of Studies in various disciplines, and the faculty members for their wholehearted cooperation and constructive suggestions in the management of the postgraduate school of the deemed university. I would like to express my sincere thanks to the Director General and Deputy Director General Education, IARI, for their generous financial help and support for the PG school activities. I sincerely thank all the professors, faculty members, Master of Halls of Residences, and his team of wardens, Registrar and Joint Administration, Comptroller, Officer in Charge, AM Cell, and other PG school officers for their valuable assistance. I also express my sincere appreciation to the students for their cooperation and understanding in the pursuit for excellence in postgraduate education at this institute. Jai Hind. I request the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva, DG FAO of the United Nations, to release the IARI publications and seed and varieties.
Ladies and gentlemen, a book on climate resilient dryland farming and watershed management is being released by the Honorable Chief Guest. The book is edited by Aanchal Das, K.S. Rana, Anil K. Chaudhary, and R.S. Bana, Division of Agronomy, Indian Agriculture Research Institute. The publication is a noteworthy effort of the authors, intended to address the key issues of crop production, vulnerability of drylands to droughts and climate changes in dryland crops. At this special ceremony of the Indian Agriculture Research Institute, 14 innovations emerging from the holy land of Pusa are being released by the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva. These are 6 in field crops and 8 in vegetable crops. Field crops: wheat, HD3118 with a genetic yield potential of 6.7 ton per hectare and high level of resistance against stripe and leaf rust. Wheat variety HI8737, a durum wheat variety with genetic yield potential of 6.7 ton per hectare and resistance to all leaf rust pathotypes. Rice, two varieties, Pusa Basmati 1609 and Pusa 1592. The Pusa 1592, a marker-assisted selection derived strongly aromatic bacterial blight resistance, nearly isogenic lines of Pusa Sugandh 5, developed by the pyramiding of bacterial blight resistance genes. A chickpea variety, Pusa 3022, developed through Desi crossed with Kabuli integration with a yield potential up to 3.06 ton per hectare. Soybean variety Pusa 5, resistant to yellow mosaic, rhizoctonia, aerial blight, and bacterial pustule. Vegetables, cauliflower Pusa Kritki, an early maturity group cauliflower variety, cauliflower Pusa Snowball Hybrid 1, bitter gourd Pusa Rasdar, bitter gourd Pusa Purvi, summer squash Pusa Pasand, carrot Pusa Kulfi, radish Pusa Sweta, and a cherry tomato Pusa Cherry Tomato 1. Ladies and gentlemen, these innovations are the outcomes of standing hours and hours in the scorching sun, in the wintry waves, in the muddy water. We believe these innovations will go a long way in ensuring food and nutritional security in the country. Sir, I present to you Dr. Jose Graziano de Silva, who made outstanding contribution in the field of food security, agriculture, and rural development. Dr. Jose Graziano de Silva, popularly known as Architect of Zero Hunger Program, is a distinguished agronomist and academician who has addressed various issues related to food security, agriculture, and rural development for over 30 years. He has worked in numerous capacities and is presently serving as Director General of FAO of the United Nations. His outstanding contributions not only include the fight against poverty through Zero Hunger Program, popularly known as FOAM Zero, but also to instill a best value for money culture, to build consensus on food security related issues, and closer cooperation with development partners. Dr. Graziano, born on November 17, 1949, is a Brazilian and Italian citizen. He obtained a bachelor's in agronomy and master's in rural economics and sociology, and subsequently obtained PhD in economic sciences from the State University of Campinas. In addition, he also holds two postdoctorate degrees, one in Latin American studies from University College of London and other in environmental studies from University of California. He has taught for over 30 years and has been recognized for his invaluable contributions in training and preparing a new generation of young professionals who are dedicated to the issues of rural development, poverty, alleviation, and food security. He joined FAO of the United Nations in 2006 as the Assistant Director General of the Regional Office in Latin America and the Caribbean. He was elected as the Director General of FAO and took office on January 1, 2012. He has authored many important publications on rural development, food security, and agrarian economics. He has 25 published books to his credit. The list of his efforts and achievements is endless. The Zero Hunger Program represents a significant innovation in regard to the formulation of public policy to fight extreme poverty. The most relevant aspect of this program is its holistic approach, its openness to civil society participation
in policy planning and resource allocation, as well as its monitoring, and the focus on gender as reflected in cash transfer to the women in the households program as a means of empowerment and ensuring effective use of resources. The Zero Hunger program has contributed to the upliftment of over 28 million extremely poor people in 5 years, besides reducing undernourishment in Brazil by a quarter. Dr. Graziano da Silva has sought to strengthen family farming and rural development as a path to enhance food security, which has made the region the first one in the world to become self-sufficient and on course to eradicate hunger by 2025. He is the recipient of numerous awards and honors, including the Rio Branco Order that was bestowed by the President of the Republic of Brazil, and the Brazilian Society of Rural Economics, Administration and Sociology Award. He has also been elected as the Fellow of National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, India. The Postgraduate School of the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi, India, recognizes the seminal contributions of Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva by awarding him the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa at the special convocation on September 8, 2014.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as Director of the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, I confer on Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva, Director General of FAO of the United Nations, the degree of Doctor of Science honoris causa of Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi, for his outstanding contributions as read out by the Dean. I now request Honorable Professor M.S. Swaminathan, Emeritus Chairman and Chief Mentor, MSSRF, to present the degree to Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva.
With this, we request Professor R.B. Singh, former President, National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, to address the audience and award the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences Fellowship to Dr. Silva.
Revered Professor M.S. Swaminathan, Honorable Chief Guest, FAO Director General Professor Jose Graziano da Silva, NAS President, Secretary there, DG ICR, Dr. Ayappan, Sri Arvind Kausalji, Additional Secretary there and Secretary ICR, Director of IARI, Professor Vijay Raghavan, dignitaries on the dais, members of the Academic Council of IARI, Excellencies, distinguished guests, the Fellows of the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, Vice Chancellors, Directors of ICR institutes, press, media, ladies and gentlemen. Foremost, permit me also to welcome my outstanding friend, Professor Jose Graziano, whom I had the privilege to know for quite some time. As a matter of fact, he was so magnificent, profound in many ways to India, which probably time may not permit me to describe. And also give me the opportunity to congratulate him for being decorated with the coveted Doctor of Science honoris causa from the world's most famous agricultural research institute, IARI. As a matter of fact, the way a person is brought up has a strong message which I think we should be able to inculcate in ourselves on occasions like this. An American-born Brazilian national of Italian ancestry, presently heading the largest technical agency of the United Nations based in Rome, Professor Jose Graziano da Silva is an embodiment of internationality, fraternity, and convergence of academic excellence and humanity. As a distinguished professor and chair of economic development, space and environment at the University of Campinas, Sao Paulo, and I repeat, and not as a chair of member of any planning commission, he had prepared the blueprint of Brazil's zero hunger. That program, which became the main plank of President Lula's presidency. The day the president assumed office on January 1, 2003, to save lives, he chose none other than Professor Jose Graziano as Brazil's extraordinary minister and special advisor of food security and fight against hunger. Professor Graziano provided the scientific, economic, and social smartness and the kind of synergy required to such programs, which freed as many as mentioned earlier, 28 million Brazilians of hunger, extreme poverty, and unacceptable inequality within the President Lula's presidency span of about 8 years. This is an unprecedented achievement in saving lives and in serving humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, as President Lula chose Jose Graziano to liberate Brazil from hunger, the whole world elected Graziano as the Director General of FAO. And he assumed the office on January 1, 2012. And within 6 months, he built the global understanding, commitment, basing on his Brazilian as well as the regional office as the ADG for regional office in Latin America and Caribbean, the Director General's Zero Hunger Program that we see today, the most important declaration of the Rio Plus 20 of the United Nations, the future we want. Other profound global initiatives, namely climate smart agriculture, green economy with green agriculture, and family farming, are also structured and pursued by FAO towards a greener, inclusive, and an all-time happier world under the visionary leadership of our chief guest today. Director General Graziano, in your fight against hunger, undernutrition, and poverty, India is one of the most formidable battlefields. Unfortunately, despite the Green Revolution and phenomenal increases in our food grain, horticulture, livestock, and fish production, often due to reasons beyond production, the country is yet to conquer real hunger and deprivation. The deprivation is further exacerbated by the stubbornly high inequality that our nation faces, somewhat which is analogous to what you had before 2003 in Brazil. Some of the issues which I have just referred to, I presume, would have been discussed when President Lula visited India a few years ago. Unfortunately, many of those agreements are still to find implementation. Is it that the recent reflection of what happened brings an omen which is very privileged and happy? Sania Mirza and Source, a Brazilian, Sania Mirza from India, they paired together and they won the US Open Tennis Championship, mixed doubles championship. Your Excellency, this kind of partnership, probably, with the kind of experience both of us possess, is needed today, and you have to emerge victorious in this land. A hungry child cannot wait. Likewise, your first visit to this country as Director General could have not been timed better. Today, commitment of scientific community, as you see here, sir, and other stakeholders is couched in a very strong political will to free the nation of its unethically high incidences of hunger, poverty, and child and woman undernutrition. Building on the earlier programs in this country, mention was made of right to food, food security bill, national agriculture development, and so on and so forth. The present Prime Minister has initiated quite a few programs. For example, the Prime Minister Jan Dhan Yojana for enhanced financial inclusion, Sansad Model Village programs, Digital India, science education and knowledge-led agricultural transformation, and so on. I think several of these initiatives, Mr. Director General, are analogous to the Brazilian initiatives and the United Nations pillars of Zero Hunger Challenge. The National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, India's think tank for transforming agriculture to reshape India, the entire scientific community which is here, the development, corporate, and farming community, is privileged, Your Excellency, to have you amidst us at this moment. Mr. President of the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, Dr. Ayyappan, with the backdrop which I have just presented, could I have the privilege of requesting you and to have the honor to present to Professor Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva, who has been elected as Fellow of the National Academy of Agricultural Sciences this year in Foreign Fellow category, to be admitted to the Fellowship of the Academy.
I request the Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Jose Graziano da Silva, DG FAO of the United Nations, to kindly deliver the convocation address.
Dr. Ayapam, Secretary of the Department of Agriculture Education, Director General of the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, IARI, and President of the National Academy of Agricultural Science. My dear friends, Professor Swaminathan, Professor R.B. Singh, distinguished guests, distinguished scientists, members of the National Academy of Agricultural Science and the Indian Council of Agricultural Research, colleagues from FAO and the UN system, colleagues from international organizations present here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very glad to be back here to this National Agriculture Science Complex. Last time was in 2009 in a meeting of a very vibrant movement, the cooperativist Indian movement that is well known across the world. And it's a truly great honor for me to be elected Fellow of the National Academy of Agricultural Science and to be graced with the title of Doctor Honoris Causa from the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, IARI. The NAIS and the IARI have a rich story of contribution to agriculture development, responding to the challenge of yesterday and today, and bringing the academic world to the concrete needs. This is an essential combination if our ideas are to have a direct benefit to food security and sustainability. I am particularly humbled to be one of the 15 people to receive this Doctor Honoris Causa, a list that includes distinguished personalities as Dr. Norman Boulot and Professor Swaminathan. A tribute to one person is always an acknowledgement of the ideas and cause to which he devoted the life. In my case, this award goes to the cause of sustainable rural development and the fight against hunger. So I would like to share this recognition with those that have stood and that stand on my side during this long journey, particularly with FAO staff members. This understanding also must guide the definition of the new sustainability goals that is going to be set by the UN system. There are many paths that lead to sustainable development, many different actions that we can take. Using water better is one of them. And I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate the government of India for its initiative to increase water efficiency in agriculture. Without a doubt, more crop per drop is the first principle of the sustainable agriculture that we need in the future. Let me add that promoting sustainable development and responding to climate change is a joint responsibility that calls for local and global action. This was evident last week at the International Conference of Small Island States that I attended. There is a lot already been doing in the seeds. However, these actions are not enough because while seeds are affected by climate change, they are not responsible for it. This is just one example of how the global community must come together and act locally and internationally. Ladies and gentlemen, FAO's major goal remains the same one that motivated its creation after World War II. Freedom from want, is our founders used to say. Now, FAO nowadays, that translates this freedom from want into food security. The difference is that the obstacles we face to reach this goal are different from than 70 years ago. Back then, increasing production was the natural solution to end hunger in a world devastated by the war. We succeed in producing much more. 60 years ago, for example, India produced about 64 million tons of food grains. Last year, India produced over 264 million tons. However, today we see that simply producing more food is not enough. Over 800 million people still suffer from hunger around the world, despite the fact that there is enough food for all. We achieve 40% more per capita production in the last 50 years, and we have not been able to reduce the hunger numbers. In most of the planet, people are not hungry because food is not available, but because they do not have access to it. The solutions we need today might be different than those of decades ago. But to respond to those multiple and interconnected challenges, we need to be as innovative as the Green Revolution was 50 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, hunger is a problem that can and must be solved. Throughout the world, around 60 countries have already met the first Millennium Goal hunger target, or already have kept their nourish rates below 5%. They are the real proof that we can win the war against hunger. One of those countries is Brazil, with over 200 million people today. I would like to take this opportunity to share with you a few aspects of our experience. As you all know, I spent many years in academic Brazilian university, studying rural life and the paradox of persisting hunger in a country that I have immense agricultural potential and had become one of the most exported food in the world. Let me start saying that perhaps the first victory of the zero hunger was to overcome the academic walls. The program is the practical result of an effort that combined academic studies and the close observation of the social reality of the country that allowed us to collect best practice already proved in the ground and scale up them very quickly. Breaking this divide, putting knowledge and service of the society is perhaps the greatest challenge of our academic life. The Prime Minister of India said something similar in this same room 6 weeks ago. The greatest challenge of IARI is to put agricultural research to serve farmers. India and IARI know this well, and this is where the Green Revolution stemmed for research to the fields, from lab to the land. This is a story that all of us are very familiar with. Norman Boulot traveled as FAO consultant from Mexico to India, bringing the wheat varieties that would be adopted and multiplied here by the hands of the scientists of IARI. Coming back to Brazil, one thing that had become very clear for us was that hunger is not a natural state or a twist of fate. It's a man-made political problem and so need political solutions. Without this understanding, without a strong political commitment expressed at all operating levels, the best ideas to end hunger, the most innovative food security program will not reach their potential. When President Lula took office in 2002, fighting hunger became the highest priority, as you know. it was the opportunity to put the zero hunger into practice, and we did not miss it. If we're something to summarize, I would say that the following. Zero hunger was Brazil's first steps toward a new development model centered in social inclusion. This was translated into reality by action in 4 major areas. First, access to food. Brazil had plenty of food, but many hungry people. It was clear to us that strengthening social protection was a crucial element for a successful food security program. This took form in many ways, including the distribution of food baskets for those affected by natural disasters, through social meal programs, and tailored approach to overcome the nutrition deficiencies of a specific often marginalized groups, such as indigenous population in Brazil. Access to food also includes electronic cash transfer, which soon became a well-known family grant program, Bolsa Família, the most visible part of the Zero Hunger program. Cash transfer was one of the most important components of the Zero Hunger because it allowed us to expand quickly and massively the number of people benefit, soon as we could build reliable list of people that need to receive this assistance. This gave us political support to move ahead. Again, the political determination of President Lula was decisive, not only to guarantee the necessary funding for the program, but also to support our decision to quickly scale up and avoid simply piloting the program in a few areas, as had happened to other initiatives in the past. The second area of the Zero Hunger work was family farming, a sector that is central to food security and is being recognized this year by the United Nations International Year of Family Farming. In Brazil, as many countries, family farms produce a significant proportion of the food we consume, and yet their potential was not fully explored, and many were food insecure themselves. We invested heavily in family farming to reverse this situation, transforming a group that was seen as a problem in part of the solution of the hunger. I would like to point out what is perhaps the most important innovation we introduced to support family farming: create local institution markets. Today in Brazil, 30% of the public food purchases are legally required to be made locally and to be made from family farmers. These include food for hospitals, for the military, and Brazil's public schools that feed over 43 million children every day. This is an experience now being adopted in many countries in Latin America, the Caribbean, and also Africa. The linking of family farm with school meals and with cash transfer show win-win situations to create. Then we bring together productive support and social protection, two areas that are traditionally kept apart. It increases access to food and creates demand for local produce. That was the goal. It creates a huge market for family farming, and it was an action that benefits not only farmers, but also helps community develop economically as more money is used locally. The third area of Zero Hunger intervention was income and jobs generation. This included skills training program, action to promote productive inclusion, and microcredit, among others. Thanks to this intervention, a few months after the program started, the beneficiaries already had some extra money to spend. As a result, different shops started to be open to respond to new demands in the every poorest village of the country. This created new opportunities for self-employment and the service sector, boosting local development. Finally, the fourth area of Zero Hunger was social participation and the organization of the beneficiaries and local actors. This is key at the field and political level. Civil society and private sector gives political backing to food security and act as watchdog to ensure the good use of public funds. Ladies and gentlemen, looking back at a little over a decade of Zero Hunger started to be implemented in Brazil, I can say that I'm truly proud of the seed that we planted. It was the beginning of a process that helped millions of Brazil overcome semi-poverty. Brazil's federal investment on food and nutrition security has continued to grow since 2003. 10 years late, in 2013, it totaled approximately $35 billion, which would be equivalent to over 2 lakh crore rupees. Today, around 14 million families are sheltered by the Family Grant program that is a budget of near $11 billion. This covers almost all the most poor families of the country, especially in rural areas. Last year, about $6 billion were invested in family farming, 10 times more than when we started. My dear friends, I hope that the Zero Hunger can be a source of inspiration for you. However, by no means Zero Hunger is a ready-made recipe that can be simply copied by other countries. We can learn from our experience, but each country needs to find its own way forward. Zero Hunger did that as well. One source of inspiration was the food stamps program from the U.S., started in the 30s to overcome the Great Depression. This learning process helped us reflect on what we want to do in our countries. It inspired us to find new ways forward and identify possibilities that had been not seen before. Different countries have different experience to share. India can rightly claim to have the largest network cooperatives in the world, for example. The organization of poor farmers into cooperatives is a way to give them voice, power, and improve their access to credit markets. Also, the Self-Employed Women's Association, CIVA, is an example of how to empower women, drawing on microfinance and their entrepreneurship. And of course, we have the Green Revolution that did exactly that, revolutionized agriculture in a way that was untold and helped save hundreds of millions from hunger. The point is, there are many experiences in India, Brazil, and many other countries that can inspire others to advance towards a comprehensive program of food security and sustainable development. Because of this, FAO is promoting South-South cooperation as a powerful tool to share those experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, after working in Brazil, Latin America, and the Caribbean, food security and sustainable development brought me to FAO. We are working hard to help countries find their paths forward. And perhaps the greatest lesson that I bring from my experience is that by working together, we can transform the dream of sustainable hunger-free world into reality. The Academy plays a fundamental role in this. We need your knowledge and intellectual authority. We need your capacity to identify problems and innovative solutions to overcome the problems. And we need your help to disseminate technology and knowledge that can transform the political decision to end hunger into a concrete reality. Before ending, I would like to take the opportunity to invite you to strengthen and expand your collaboration with FAO. Open up to new partnerships is one way that FAO is changing to better respond to the challenge that we face today. It's part of a wider transformation that FAO has undergone since I took up office. At the same time, we have been strengthening our technology and capacity to fulfill our global normative function. The two are very closely related. We use our technology knowledge to assist countries in setting policy and implementing concrete action at country level. And we bring what we learn from our work in the field into the global discussion on norms, treats, and public goods that we share with you. I believe that only this way FAO will truly become an acknowledged organization with its feet on the ground and fulfill its potential in helping build the food security and sustainable future that we all want. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
I declare the convocation closed.
Esteemed Chief Guest, Dr. Graziano, for the first-hand account of the Zero Hunger and the inspiring address. Now, before we go to the interactive session, there is a formality with the convocation, which the Director IARI would kindly do.
I declare the convocation closed.
Thank you very much. Our Chief Guest, the esteemed Director General of FAO, Dr. Graziano, has kindly agreed to have an interaction session for about 30 minutes. You have before you, Dr. Graziano, the Vice Chancellors of Agriculture Universities, Directors of the Research Institutes of the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, the senior management team from the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and several other organizations. We request you kindly to have this interaction session. It will be a unique opportunity for all of us. The session could largely go with zero hunger, family farming, food security, nutritional programs, capacity building, partnerships, and so on. We invite you, we request our Chief Guest to kindly take on to this session. Thank you very much. Yeah. Anyone can start the questions, comments, interactions.
Sir.
Request for a brief introduction and then question.
I am Dr. Ramani from IARI Ranchi. Sir, I think in your talk you just said that every country should have its own way of implementing its zero hunger program. Sir, one of the pillars of your program in Brazil had been cash transfer. So I would like to ask you, instead of cash transfer, food grain transfer, do you think it will be a better option? And will it work better compared to cash transfer in general and particularly in Indian context?
Thank you for your question. In fact, we did it simultaneously. when we took office, Brazil was facing a huge drought in the northeast area that was affecting almost all the counties in that northeast area. And in some part of it, we didn't have other alternative except sharing food basket distribution. We kept that until we have been able to implement the cash transfer. Because the cash transfer needs first a reliable list of beneficiaries, what was not available at that time. But it needs also someone that has the way to receive it, electricity, for example, and so on. So until we have been able to build some agreements with for example, I asked for the pharmacy association. It's unfortunately the best network that we had at that time in this draw area were the pharmacy. They were the only, let's say, modern thing present in each village, due to the big number of people that didn't have good health. So we built an agreement with the pharmacy, so the cash transfer goes through the pharmacy there to receive the money. And so we have been able to improve this cash transfer and gradually to substitute. The big advantage, if I may say, is that when you provide food in kind, you do not stimulate local production. This is the point. When we provide cash, you stimulate farmers to grow, even the small gardens, to produce some lettuce or a chicken or some eggs. And also, we stimulate other business that service, basically. One of the main achievements, the second month that I came back to we had some pilot counties that I regularly monitor and come back. When I come back to the first one that was named Guaribas, a very small village of around 500 families, and the first new entrepreneur there was a haircut that started in the village. So this was amazing to see how new business, micro business, started to grow after the cash transfer program implemented.
Good morning. I'm Ashok Vishandas from Commission on Agriculture Cost and Prices, Ministry of Agriculture. It was very stimulating to listen to you. The total availability of the food grains is much above the total requirement, but the accessibility is an issue. And in that context, my question is, see, we are near the de minimis limit under the WTO imperatives, and the Food Security Act requires some kind of subsidy. So how do you balance the two? One is the national imperative and other is the WTO requirement. Accessibility is an issue and we are far away from zero hunger. So how do you see, what is your policy prescription and your idea on handling this issue?
Well, I had the opportunity to discuss this several times with my colleague Roberto Azevedo in WTO, even before he took office. And we agreed that the basic principle, and that's what FAO stands on, is assure food security at national level has priority over all. And this should be the goal to be achieved. If it needs subsidies, and it always needs, it's up to the country to decide on that level they will give and how much they will give. So for our point of view, this is the, let's say, the principle. Until we achieve a food security level in the country, and that means to have national stocks for food security purpose, this is, let's say, the goal to be pursued. What we also agree that this should not be used for exports. At national level, it's up to the government to decide. But that if you took these products to export and export the implicit subsidy on that, this not only does not benefit other countries, but the usual effect is a dumping for local farmers in other countries. And we will have the same problem in other countries that you have nationally. This is the way you're trying to reach it.
Good morning. Thank you for a very innovative speech on the Zero Hunger Program. I am Dr. Suresh Honnapol, Animal Husbandry Commissioner, Government of India, Department of Animal Husbandry, Dairying and Fisheries. I would just like to know how the livestock and the fisheries sector's policies were involved in this particular Zero Hunger Program in your experience.
Well, from the very beginning, small ruminants, poultry and fish farms were promoted. So as part of the family farm stimulus. And, at that time, it was, unfortunately, people preferred to have a milk reconstituted from powdered milk, or to buy a chicken, freezed chicken in the supermarket, instead of eating local products. And we start also a campaign, national campaign, to promote it, to increase this local production. Now, for example, we buy milk, not only part of the Brazilians, almost 1/4, including myself, we have this incapacity to digest the lactase. So we cannot drink milk from cows, but we love goat milk. So we promote it as part of the Zero Hunger Program, and I have to say that nowadays goat milk has become very popular in rural areas in the Northeast region, where this problem is most known. We also promote fish farms. You know that Brazil has 1/3 of the electricity generated by water source, and we have big lakes available, and now those waters are able to produce a lot of fish, basically tilapia, but some others, tropical fish also. So we did look very carefully to the protein. And all those were incorporated in the school meal program. The way that we found to push for consumption of these products were to introduce them in the school meal program. So the children became the one that promote the goat milk or the fish in their own homes. That way.
Thank you, sir. Myself, Dr. J. Sandhu, Agriculture Commissioner, Government of India. We are interacting with the farmers and across the country. And the scientific community, we are advising so far to the farmers to plow deep and as many plowing you give. As many give you more plowing, you will harvest more. This was we are advocating. Now, as FAO, and we are also convinced that the conservation agriculture is the way forward. So is it now the farmer is questioning, just as you are advising that go deep plowing and all these things, and now you say you are not go the deep plowing and conservation agriculture. How this is the dilemma in between the farmers and the scientists we are practicing the farm. And any model anywhere in the other country where the conservation agriculture has been taking a root in a big way. This is my questions.
It's true. It's hard to explain to the farmers after decades to promoting increased production in some way that we need to shift now for a more sustainable way. But we need to do it. There is no doubt that we need to do it. And I'll tell you one of the things that we have been promoting, a very easy one, is the zero tillage, that we don't need to plug the soil. And we found out, in fact, that we have been convinced in the tropical areas to plug the soil just to use tractors or big machineries. Because, in fact, the original plug was to accelerate the defreezing after winter times to start the cultivation in the beginning of the spring. We never had freezed soils in tropical areas, so why we should plug them? And we found this in Brazil 500 years after being plugging and transforming some areas in desert areas, in the Amazon region, for example. And now we shifted to a different way. So sometimes we need to recognize that even scientists, the best one, made mistakes. And we need to adapt this. Adaptation, I think that's the best word to say what we need to do. We need to adapt to the now times where the impact of machinery or chemicals or so on has become a problem, not a solution for the problems that we face. And I believe that farmers can understand that perfectly. Help us to do it, in fact.
Sir, I'm Narendra Kumar from ICRISAT, sir. First, I'd like to compliment you for the very insightful address. I have a small and simple question. Your experience in Brazil, Bolsa Familia-based enhancement in agricultural production, reinforced by increase in the procurement system and social inclusion and so on. Do you think the way India is now with some of these elements, except the Bolsa Familia-based cash transfer, do you think India will be able to achieve and similar benefits can accrue to India through introduction of a cash benefit system in India?
Well, in fact, the cash transfer is a kind of subsidy, like many others that we have. For example, subsidy to fertilizers, subsidy to crops, special crops, etc. The advantage of the cash transfer is that you can tailor it the poor's, that they directly receive immediately. So it's much easier. Let's say the costs of money to achieve directly the beneficiary is much less, and also let's say it doesn't need too much follow-up. Just need to keep the list updated and check it. So it's an easy program to implement, as I said. Don't need too much to build a big superstructure to follow it. And this is especially attractive when you want to create local markets. Because what the farmers need, at least, is money. We try to give them seeds, we try to give them fertilizer, but most of the time we don't give them money. And when you raise a program of cash transfer, what you do is to share money locally. And that creates local markets, that create job opportunities. This is the local development that we need. So if you need the local development, I would say that cash transfer is an important component of it, especially in poor areas.
Nija.
I'm V.K. Taneja, the Vice Chancellor of a Veterinary University at Ludhiana. Sir, our major concern over the last couple of years has been that productivity is plateauing. Costs of inputs have gone up, overall profitability is going down, and many of the farmers are leaving out agriculture or livestock per se. We have been advocating village as a model for enhancing productivity. I would like to know whether there is a potential and a possibility of training these producers also as processors. Because there are plenty of time between sowing and the harvesting, and that time could also be optimally utilized. And rather than profitability going to more and more rich people, those people in the village level itself could combine together and convert them into processing units also and make more money.
What I have to say is that it depends on each condition, local condition. Capacity building, especially training, is something that is always required. If it's this in this or that specialty, is difficult to say in general.